Sword Art Online, you either love it or you hate it, unless you're one of the 94%. Jeez, people actually like this show? I mean, I don't blame them or anything. The idea of fully diving into an immersive world where you can kill monsters, form guilds, and have sex sounds really romantic, because there's no way you're getting laid in real life. But sometimes the anime breaks the rules of its own game. My name is Ryu, and today, we're going to be debunking some of SAO's biggest plot holes. We'll even be going over this garbage, so stick around to the end. Also, according to YouTube statistics, 100% of my viewers are subscribed to this channel, and that would be fine if I had more subscribers. So be sure to share the video and do all of these things, or I'll be living here in 14 months. Enjoy. Side note, how the f did SAO get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Also spoilers. There will be spoilers. A lot of people who don't like SAO dislike the lack of character development, the excessive sexual themes, and the fact that the main character is an immortal god. And I get that, those are all valid reasons to dislike a show. But some people hate the show for having too many plot holes, and I just can't have that. But what exactly is a plot hole, you may ask? Well, let's use the most credible definition I found on Webster Wikipedia. A plot hole is a gap or inconsistency in a storyline that goes against the flow of logic established by... Alright, let's get started. Let's start off with an easy one. This one is something I hear a lot of people point out who have only seen the anime. It's a valid point. As we know, if you try to remove, destroy, or unplug the nerve gear, the player will die immediately. So how did they transfer all the players from their homes to hospitals? Well, they actually explain this a bit in episode 13, but no sane person would choose to watch more than 10 episodes of this garbage. So I'll explain. In episode 13, Asuna reminds Kirito of an incident a few weeks into the release of the game, where a bunch of players get disconnected from the servers for a few hours. She tells us that they were likely getting transported to hospitals during that time, which is great. We now know what happened to them. But that still doesn't explain why everyone didn't just die when being unplugged. The answer is in the light novel. At the beginning of the book, when Kaiba's debriefing the SAO player base, he reassures everyone that in the event of a blackout, they would not die. To be more specific, the brain frying sequence will commence upon any of the following circumstances: 10 minutes of no external power or 2 hours of network disconnection. 2 hours is plenty of time to get someone to a hospital on an ambulance that doesn't cost $400 a mile, like it does in the US. Although you would have to unplug the nerve gear temporarily, there is an internal battery which is seen in the show. An easy fix would also be to plug it into a portable battery before leaving for the hospital. Or maybe there's some other technology in 2021 that we're not going to get. The main argument here is that SAO couldn't have made any money selling 10,000 copies, so it's unrealistic that they actively made a choice to only sell that many. Even if each copy was sold for $10,000, they wouldn't be anywhere near breaking even. There's even a film theory video that talks about how much SAO would cost. However, SAO in itself was two things. One, a passion project for Kaiba, Akihiko. Kaiba's dream was to live in a castle in the sky. Yeah, not that one. The second reason for SAO's existence is revealed much later. SAO ends up being one huge beta test for other games to come, like Alfheim Online and Gun Gale Online, and the Nerve Gear for the Metacuboid and the Soul Translator. More importantly, it ended up being the building blocks for Wrath's little science fair project. Wrath is a secret government group whose ultimate goal is to make Japan independent again by creating AI war machines. I won't go too into it, but they use a lot of the research done in SAO and its sister games to achieve this, so it's fairly reasonable to think that the Japanese government funded Kaiba's dream world. I'd also like to point out that the Japanese Self-Defense Force started creating training software on the Nerve Gear a year before it was released to the public. I probably should have just started here. It is established that to play SAO you have to be 13, and at the start of the show, Silica is set to be 12. I don't even know why this is on the list. First, let's look at age ratings in real life. GTA 5 is rated M for mature. That means you have to be 17 or older to play it, right? Wrong. Just a suggestion. I could tell some 12-year-old kid to go steal his mom's credit card and buy the premium online edition of Grand Theft Auto 5. Lo and behold, they would be able to buy the game and play it. Heck, I even played GTA 5 before I was 17. Now that we know that it is in fact possible for a kid to buy games over their age rating, some of you might think that the Nerve Gear could tell what your age was based off of your body, as you have to calibrate it before you play. This simply cannot be the case, as there is no way to tell the chronological age of someone based on their body. The fact is, people grow at different rates, so you could have the body of a 12-year-old and have the mind of a 13-year-old. There's even an orphanage in episode 10 for all the children whose parents didn't love them, or something like that. This one was really dumb. I'm kinda sick of this song, let's change it. Finally, something more interesting. So why didn't Kirito and Asuna die? This one takes a bit of context to explain. Remember this bitch? The one that didn't need to die? Remember how Kirito was a dumbass and thought he could revive her 6 months after her brain was fried. Remember that item he got after soloing a raid boss that only spawns on Christmas that could revive any fallen player within 10 seconds of them dying? And remember how he gave it to Klein? Well, Bandana Boy here probably didn't use it on him. And even if he did, he could only use it on one of them. You might think that Klein could have gotten another one of the item the next Christmas. But this isn't possible since SAO was beaten within 11 months of Kirito obtaining the item the first time. What about the Christmas before? The Christmas before that they were still on floor 4, according to the progressive novel, while the boss spawns on floor 35. Side note, I thought it was really funny that in the 4-Koma version of the manga, Kirito gets beaten to death immediately after giving the item to Klein. This also shows just how unimportant the item really is outside of... The point is, there's a 10-second grace period where you can revive a dead player. That's at least 10 seconds of time before a player's brain gets fried. I mean, anime time moves slower than real time, right? This leaves room for argument that even though Kirito and Asuna did die in the game shut down the function of killing them in real life before it had the chance to execute, no pun intended, the command to do so. Also very possible that Kayaba just chose to let them live. I mean, he has other admin powers, it'd be very easy to just not kill them. He even smiles when Kirito stabs him in the chest. But Ryu, those are just possibilities. Film theories at best. And why didn't Kayaba just not die then, huh? Well, I mean... Yes, exactly. They're just possibilities. But the show we know as SAO isn't over yet. And as long as Reki Kawahara is alive, writing more books, and answering interview questions, this doesn't need to be explained. Though I don't see why not. Remember, a plot hole goes against the flow of logic established by the plot. This doesn't go against anything established so far, so it's just really, really stupid. Like the rest of the show. Alright, this and this But first, let's start from the beginning. At the start of the show, Kirito is one of 1,000 beta testers out of 10,000 players. Beta testers have a significant advantage in SAO as in any game. They are familiar with the menu and combat systems. They know where all the good loot is for the first 10 floors, and they understand core game mechanics like teleportation crystals and potions and crafting. Even during beta testing, Kirito was one of the frontliners. Now, the light novel straight up tells us the different groups of players and how many people there are. Number 1, the cowards. Totaling to around 5,000 players, they chose to hide in the starting town instead of slaying goblins. Wait, that's the wrong anime. Number 2, the patriotic motherfuckers. 3,000 players joined an army that was built up by some manager of a gaming website. Kind of like a Zerg, which is a gaming term people use to describe a group of players that rely on numbers to achieve their goals because they individually suck ass. Number 3, the dumb group. This group of 1,000 players wasted all of their money at the start of the game on things other than gear. Many of them were forced to join the army since they didn't have enough food or money and didn't want to face the dangers by themselves. Number 4, the miscellaneous group. 500 players who formed about 50 guilds, 200 to 300 crafters and traders, and the soloists, most of which are beta testers. Some of you who have played MMOs might know that it's more efficient to work in groups when farming rather than by yourself. Kirito himself points it out to Asuna. This is true, but it's not much more efficient. Since in SAO there's no magic, and that means there's no broken magic class or any healers for that matter. There's also no viable ranged weapon, as the only weapons in the game that you can throw are knives, stones, and a shakram, which is like a boomerang. So basically you just can't sit in the back while your team soaks up all the damage. And you can't just spam potions either, because potions take time to heal you, unlike in this episode. So 5,000 people not playing, up to 3,000 grunts, 1,000 players found off the streets, and some traders add up to a rough estimate of about 9,000 players. Being better than the remaining 1,000 players wouldn't be unimaginable, especially when you're a gamer and a beta tester. You know what? Just watch this clip.
元ベータテスターだって？俺をあんな素人連中と一緒にしないでもらいたいな。なんやと？ SAO のベータテストに当選した1000人のうちのほとんどはレベリングのやり方も知らない初心者だったよ。今のあんたらの方がまだマシさ。
And let's not forget about the 2,000 people that died within the first month, with 300 of them being beta testers. Noobs. We also need to remember that this is a full dive MMO. You know, you have to move around. Think most gamers know how to move anything other than their thumbs? I know I can't. I'm stuck here attempting to make videos. But our Lord and Savior, the Black Swordsman, did Kendo IRL. He knows how to work a sword or something. So far, we know that Kirito is an avid gamer, a beta tester, and can use swords in real life. Compare that to the 1,000 people who might actually be worth comparing to, and suddenly it doesn't seem too implausible that Kirito might be the best player in the game. I mean, for some people like Asuna and Silica, this game was their first MMO. But none of that really matters because I don't care if people hate him for being an S tier Chad. I don't care if people think it's impossible for someone to go solo in an MMO and be the very best. I'm just here to debunk this and this. Boom, debunked. And yeah, this is complete BS. Just kidding, they actually turned this bug into a feature in Sword Art Online Alicization. It's still BS.